Guys, my heart is torn right now. We got two of my favorite welterweights potentially fighting for a number one contenders fight between Jack Della Maddalena and Carlos Prates. All I have to say to this is, why can't we just be friends here? I really love both of them. They are my second and third favorite welterweight on the roster next to Shavkat Rakhmonov, but unfortunately, I don't see Shavkat Rakhmonov fighting in the foreseeable future. So, yeah, basically, the UFC decided to put two of my favorite welterweights in a number one contenders fight. And I feel like it's going to be really sad. All right. And don't get me wrong, I will be rooting for whoever wins this fight. If they fight for the belt against Islam Makhachev or Ian Gary or Michael Morales, I don't really care who it is against. I will still be rooting for them. But the problem here is that if Carlos Prates wins, it's going to be by brutal flatline KO. And I think Carlos Prates is going to beat Jack Della Maddalena at UFC Perth. It is absolutely devastating for me to say that. I never really wanted to say those words. But Carlos Prates is going to flatline JDM because I just don't see how JDM is going to fight perfectly for 25 minutes without getting clipped, all right? Carlos Prates, sure, he got outstruck by Ian Gary, but I think Prates is a lot more elusive since his fight with Ian Gary. There was a lot of defense deficiencies in his fight with Ian Gary, but I'm going to be real. Ever since that fight, Prates uses a lot more head movement. He's using a lot more slick strikes, the spitting elbow against Jeff Neal. And I don't see a grappling threat for Carlos Prates to worry about in this fight. Now, I will say that Jack Della Maddalena has better grappling, and he could latch up a submission here, but I just don't see Jack Della Maddalena all of a sudden coming out with a heavy grappling game plan. And overall, I'm not a guy to believe in superstition, but I really believe in the welterweight belt curse, all right? We can go back as far as to Tyron Woodley. After he lost the belt, look at him now. Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad. I think Jack Della Maddalena is going to get fried by the welterweight belt curse, and it's going to be sad. Honestly, I do want JDM to win this fight. All right, because if JDM wins this, it's going to be a tough, scrappy 5-round war where both guys, they're pretty banged up, but JDM is able to come through, grit down, and just win a gritty decision. But I just don't see how Prates is going to just let JDM do that for 25 minutes. At some point, JDM is going to get touched up. And when he gets touched, I just don't know if he can survive someone as dangerous as Carlos Prates, all right? I'm still going to be rooting for both of these guys. At the end of the day, no matter what happens, they're still both of my favorites. We love JDM and we love CP as well. Pause. But yeah, I think that Carlos Prates is going to unfortunately flatline JDM. Not saying it's impossible for JDM to win. He has been able to grit down and make it a tough out for a lot of these top contenders in the welterweight division, minus Islam Makhachev. And Prates has lost to Ian Gary before. But here's the thing. I think Ian Gary is really good, all right? Do I think he's an absolute annoying cunt of a human being? Yes.
In my dreams, what am I?
You're on your way.
All I know is, if I could have that extra 3% athleticism, right? And that beautiful fucking skin that when I get sweaty, I look like I'm covered in crystals. I'm like, shit, I would be money.
But at the end of the day, he is an elite level mixed martial artist. So I don't even rate that as Prates is clearly a step below all of the top guys. It's no, Ian Gary's just really good, and he came out with a very good game plan against Prates, all right? Will Prates be able to flatline Ian Gary in the rematch? I hope that happens. I really hope that Prates can flatline Ian Gary in a potential rematch. But either way, though, Jack Della Maddalena, I feel like he's going to do very well at first. He's going to touch up Carlos Prates, just box his head off. But as the fight progresses, CP, the thing is, he doesn't slow down in 5 rounds. Like, yes, he doesn't have the same power as he does early on in the fight, but yeah, I thought he would slow down against Ian Gary, but if anything, he was winning the later rounds against Ian Gary, so that was kind of surprising to me. So I think, unfortunately for JDM, Carlos Prates is going to clip him with the shot, and I just don't know if JDM can really survive that. Like, in hindsight, getting into a 5-round war with Belal Muhammad is kind of concerning, because I know that Belal Muhammad, like, JDM clearly beat him, but Belal Muhammad was also going for tit for tat at times with JDM. And I just don't think you can go tit for tat with a guy like Carlos Prates without getting flatlined in the process. So hopefully JDM proves me wrong. Ideally, I do want to see JDM win because, again, it's going to be a decision where nobody gets flatlined, and I don't have to cry for one of my favorite welterweights being KO'd. But I think Carlos Prates is just a little bit different, and I think Carlos Prates is unfortunately going to sleep JDM out. I'm going to say probably in the 3rd round, right? I'm going to say in the 3rd round, but this is early predictions, and it's like a long ways away from this fight, so hopefully my opinion can change once I study some tape. But for now, I'm going to go with Carlos Prates to get the job done. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know in the comments down below who you have for early predictions between Jack Della Maddalena and Carlos Prates. But other than that, I will have my predictions out for UFC 326 probably sometime tomorrow. But yeah, leave a comment down below what you guys think. And outside of that, I will see you guys next time. Peace.